What's the most important three-game stretch for Arkansas in the 2025 college football season? And to be completely transparent, it's all based off your expectations for the Hawgs. Mine are completely different than most. What does Taylen Green look like in year 2 underneath Bobby Petrino? Can one of these wide receivers break on out and be the next Andrew Armstrong? Do you feel like you have an identity with Sam Pittman going into 2026? You show me that, you're in a really good spot, and that means probably winning a couple of conference games. So which conference games do I feel the most confident Arkansas is going to be in? Texas A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State. Let's go ahead and break that down, but welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Hog Nation, like the video, hit the ring notification, and of course, subscribe to the channel because we talk college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, link in the description. Follow me at Mr. Cole Thompson. Check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. And as always, we're proudly brought to you by our friends over at FANDUEL. Go visit FANDUEL.com/SECU. Join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Lay down $5, win that bet. You're going to get $250 in bonus bets, whether it be on Taylen Green to win the Heisman Trophy, Arkansas to hit the over and win totals, or maybe the first coach being fired, Sam Pittman. Do it all at FANDUEL.com/SECU. So Texas A&M, Auburn, and Mississippi State. Three most winnable games. You can probably throw Tennessee into the mix, but I want to make sure I mention the Mississippi State game. Let's start off with Texas A&M. This is going to be in your backyard on October 18th. Why is this important? Because yes, Texas A&M has had your number most of the time during the era of the Southwest Classic in Arlington, but that's kind of the point. This game is no longer going to be played in Arlington. For the first time since 2013, it's actually not a neutral site game. And there were some really good matchups at AT&T Stadium. I was there for a majority of them, whether it be the overtime matchup in 2014, whether it be the 50-43 matchup in 2017, 20-10 victory in 2021, 34-22 if you were Texas A&M, 21-17 last season. Like, there's reasons to say that this is a good game on paper. And it's always competitive. But this is now a home atmosphere. It's no longer split down 50-50 where you have to go ahead and fight with the boosters and the alumni collective and saying, hey, I need X amount of tickets. No, it's your home turf. Go defend it. Go absolutely defend it. And a lot of people are talking about Texas A&M potentially being this year's Tennessee. If you go to the message boards, if you go around the YouTube sphere, I've constantly heard, hey, Texas A&M this year, solid defense, good run game, quarterback that may make a couple of mistakes, but just be good enough to get you by. Look at them to be 10-2 and in the college football playoff. Okay. So if I got to look at them and be 10-2 and they're in the college football playoff, I also have to look at the fact that Arkansas' signature win last year was against Tennessee. So is that going to be the case against Texas A&M? I like Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M could be a very solid team. I am not buying into the 8-4 mantra for 2025. I could see 9-3. I could easily see 10-2. I could see this front seven having a field day against most quarterbacks. But I also know Arkansas football, and they're going to get a win. They're going to. They're going to get one signature win that probably they shouldn't. Now, in the process, they're going to lose a game they probably should win, Oklahoma State last year. But regardless, you hear what I'm saying. They're going to get that game. And think about this from Texas A&M's perspective. They're going to be coming off of a signature matchup against Florida. And they just beat probably Mississippi State and Auburn. They also got to look ahead to two more road games against LSU and Missouri coming off of this matchup. And those are two games that were on paper, yeah, probably A&M's going to give a fight. But what if Missouri is better than advertised? What if LSU looks like that team that can win a national title? And then you start trickling down. It's a look-ahead spot for Texas A&M. Nobody's looking ahead at Fayetteville. You see this game on the schedule and you say, we're licking our chops. We want to welcome in Marcel Reed. We want to shut down this offensive line. We want to make plays against this run defense. And we want to make sure that we, as a unit, collectively come together and put A&M in its rightful place of, hey, we've been in the SEC longer than you. You're going to sit down, shut up, and like it. Because that's what Texas did to you last year. That's what we want to do to you. That's how we feel. And again, first time away from Arlington, a place where Texas A&M, quite literally on paper, because of the win totals, own you, may change a little bit. Just a little bit. Not saying that this is going to be a matchup that turns the tide for Arkansas football. What I am saying is they're going to get a win that they shouldn't. This feels like one of those games. A&M starts looking a little bit too confident going into the matchup down in Death Valley. They overlook a trip to Fayetteville in the process. That's game number one. Game number two, in my opinion, it's got to be Auburn. It has to be Auburn. It's another home game the following week. What if you win against Texas A&M? Well, again, the same question that we asked last season for Arkansas when they beat Tennessee, what was going to show on up? Well, they played LSU, and they played them at home, and it was a 34-10 loss. Now, it was close at times, and then in the fourth quarter and really the second half, you watch as LSU decide to show dominance, but there were moments that you felt like, okay, this is the Arkansas that we're accustomed to seeing. Well, what if that's LSU? Auburn this year. What if Auburn is this season's LSU? Good wide receiver room, certainly an offensive line that you want to write home about. You have a quarterback that you feel like can only grow into the right amount of player, and that coach that really needs to meet some expectations. He starts to find his mojo at this point, but they're unable to run the football. Or better yet, they can't stop the run for some reason, because that was LSU's biggest problem last year. And you got Braylon Russell, and I've talked to some people around the program. I've talked to some people around the SEC. He kind of is starting to grow on me as like the dude that we need to be spending a little bit more time talking about. Didn't get to see a lot of reps last season with Jaquinta Jackson, nearly under the transfer portal. He's back for this season. Feels like he is going to be the lead focal point in the backfield. What if he has a field day? What if there's just like 175 rushing yards? And then you start to corral the box and, oh, look at that. Courtney Crutchfield or Omega Blake, your number one wide receiver, is breaking on through for a 25-yard touchdown against Kylan Lee in coverage. And that does it. And that gets you the win. Well, now you're on this thing called a winning streak. Or better yet, you're at least playing competitive football to where everybody was buying all this stock in Auburn, all this stock in Texas A&M, and saying, here's Arkansas, perennial 13th ranked team in the SEC. No. Either we're winning this game or we're making it a challenge for the opponent to walk out of this building. That's how we feel about this. I can see it. I believe that Auburn on paper has all of the talent in the world, but I don't trust the coach. I don't. It's not like I'm saying that I believe that Sam Pittman is going to give me a 5-star meal against the Tigers in his home backyard. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I've watched this scenario play out before where the talent does not meet the coaching staff. And if that's going to be the case, it's going to lead to concerns. It's going to lead to mishaps. Last season, the 4-interception game against Arkansas cost Auburn a spot in a bowl game. It also happened against Cal. It also happened against Oklahoma. It happened against Kentucky. But you catch my drift here. Multiple times of shooting yourself in the foot just ultimately was the deciding factor on what put Auburn in the situation. And what if it's more the same? And it has nothing to do with the quarterback. And it has nothing to do with the wide receivers or the offensive line or the defense. It all has to do with the play calling. And you take advantage of those play callings. And this is the moment where Taylen Green says, hey, there's a reason why they talk highly about bipolar quarterbacks in year 2. And it's a 345-yard game, and you win that matchup. And now you got the confidence rolling in to your first road test of the series. To your next home game, which, again, another home game, pretty positive, against Mississippi State. Mississippi State, I think, is going to be better on paper. I love their rushing attack. I think they're going to have a top 5 rushing unit in the SEC this year. Davin Booth, Fluff Bothwell. That's what I got. I don't know what the wide receiver room is going to look like. I don't know if Blake Shapen's going to take that next jump forward. I don't know what the offensive line is going to look like. I certainly don't know what this defense is going to be. But this is the most winnable game for Arkansas on the schedule. I'm saying that they can win multiple SEC games. They can easily hold their own against Missouri this year. They could probably hold their own against Ole Miss this year, even though it's going to be in Oxford. Tennessee's one where they can absolutely, depending on what Joey Aguilar is, they can win that game once again in Neyland. But this, far and away, is the most winnable game. So can you make a statement? Can you just show that you are not the bottom dwellers in the SEC? Because Kentucky is going to be able to claim that role, and potentially we're going to see Mississippi State claim that role. And Arkansas, at least on paper, because of the way that we talk about them, certainly could claim that role. Doesn't mean that they're going to. Doesn't mean it's going to end up being Arkansas at the bottom. So can you just make sure that this is the one to where, hey, we at least got you. We at least know that we're in a better spot than where you are going into 2026. And probably for the long term. Because Mississippi State at one point was viewed as a program that was always on the rise because of what they have with Dan Mullen. And then he left for Florida. And then we saw Mike Leach come on in. And then he left for heaven. So we know that this is a program that has been a stepping stone for bigger, quite literally bigger things in all of the universe's standpoint, where it hasn't been able to find its constant growth. Arkansas has been a constant bottom dweller for the last decade. can they at least still show we're better than where you are at this point? And it's a moment where, hey, you have a really good rushing attack from Braylon Russell. Your defense is making plays left and right. You get a couple of pick sixes on Blake Shapen. Your pass rush is kind of coming together against a mediocre, mundane offensive line. Your quarterback play is sufficient. And this is the version of Taylen Green that was advertised when he signed on up to leave Boise, Idaho and come on down to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Can that be the game? And if you do that, you have an opportunity to win 3 straight home games before you close out the year on the road at LSU, at Texas, and then welcome in Missouri on a Saturday afternoon. That's what you got. That, to me, I'm not saying that you can't win other games. I'm not saying that it's these 3 and the rest, chalk them up as losses. Maybe you upset Notre Dame. Maybe you lose to Memphis. Maybe you beat Ole Miss on the road and somehow Arkansas State with Butch Jones and the champions of life come on and have a field day. I don't know. What I know for a fact, though, is if we're talking about the 3 most important games, you're going to get an upset win that you shouldn't. Texas A&M feels like a prime location to do it. You have an opportunity to show that you are better than what's going on the Plains because of your coaching staff and because of your identity. You beat them last year on the Plains. Now you get to welcome them into your territory. And you should beat Mississippi State. Because even if you do believe Mississippi State's going to be better on paper, they're still Mississippi State, and a ton of issues reside in that program going into 2025. But let me know in the comment section down below, what are your 3 most important games that will define Arkansas season in 2025? Like, review, hit subscribe. Make sure you're following us on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson, at SEC Unfiltered. Download the podcast version of the show and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. Until next time, folks, I am Cole Thompson. Hog City, you're going to win at least 2 SEC games this year. Which 2? I think I just told you.